It's for eating. Islam, Moors. Father, to one right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation.
By
night.
and
by day.
He
is holy prophet.
Noble
Juali.
Islam.
Prophet warns all governors, Muslims, order to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their cardon button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Juali. Islam. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Juali. Islam. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is the instruction from your Prophet Noble Juali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is not on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Juali. And that's why many hearts have been turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see. Ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving. And they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but would sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Juali. Islam. Couple things today. One we could start with. We'll just read this one out. July 19th, 1937, the Brooklyn Daily Eagle newspaper. Westbury, July 19th, construction work on a Hebrew center will begin here in the fall. It was announced yesterday at an open-air meeting conducted by the Moorish Palestine Talmud Torah of Brooklyn. The meeting was in charge of by Rabbi Hekiah Jacob of Brooklyn, who said that the organization is composed of Negroes who have embraced the Jewish faith. It was held on property donated by Aaron Jacob, who lives nearby. The site of the proposed center is on Maple Avenue near School Street. We believe that all Jews should be united, no matter what their color. The Catholics are united, and so are the Protestants, so why not all Jews? Our building will be open to any Jew at all times, Rabbi Jacob said. The meeting was also addressed by Mordecai Jacob. A sum of money was raised toward the building fund for the proposed center. Right, the Moorish Palestine Talmud Torah of Brooklyn. You can just do your research on them. Moorish Palestine Talmud Torah, which leads us to October 21st, 2015. 5 generations of Palestinians, no surrender in sight. If you understand events in Israel and Palestine among these two peoples who are locked in a century-long battle, you have to understand the importance of generations. Ancient Israelites understood their generational struggles against their enemies, especially Ammonites, Moabites, Edomites. So Palestinians today against Zionism and Israel, but Israelis refuse to see themselves and their history in the eyes of young Palestinians who also battle for their existence and dignity. So we're looking to find out, or if anybody finds out any info with regard to the Palestinian rallies, so we can go to one of those. Yeah, that's what made me say, yeah, we need to go. Yeah. So we're looking to find if you hear anything going on or whatever, for us to go show some support to some descendants of the ancient Canaanites. As we know, Palestine's old Canaan, Palestine's old everything, and they're pretty much getting railroaded right now with this whole Zionism thing going on, trying to play Udatis corpse and play British monarchy and play everybody else who's doing these colonial activities. And speaking about this, to again bring into light the importance of the whole existence and the history and the lineage and all that stuff that we promote, that is supposed to be buried information. You're not supposed, how you know about that and whatever like that. You're not supposed to know that you're Moors, you're supposed to be black guys and whatever. Same thing that they're trying to do to them. And they're going as far as using force of arms. They're going as far as putting people in exile and then going in their house and taking it over. And then people coming back from exile like, why are you in my house? Like, what do you mean, why? Like, this is mine now, or whatever, right? Talking crazy. And interestingly too, when I was looking at some of the footage and stuff, it's like, it's all these old women or whatever that got these properties that all these men are going into getting and literally getting them out. Pants, huh? Literally getting them out. Right?
Just focus on yourself.
Trying. In the Hebrew Bible, Deuteronomy 23:3 notes God's command that an Amorite or a Moabite shall not enter into the assembly of the Lord. even to the 10th generation shall none of them enter into the assembly of the Lord forever. Wow, 10 generations, even forever? Talk of holding a grudge. But that's how national confrontational politics, play. Another one. Who's that? Man, now stop sending mail here, huh? You love it, yo.
He misses us.
Must be. But that's how national confrontational politics and God's commands operated. Pain endures in the human spirit, and the pain of national affront endures a long time. The Ammonites, Moabites, Edomites, and Amalekites, who lived south and east of ancient Palestine, the promised land in the Hebrew Bible, mistreated, cursed, attacked, and refused safe passage to the Israelites who trekked to Palestine. So for 10 generations and forever, they were barred from entering into the Israelite community. There is no forgiving in this serious business of nationhood. Well, this same generational factor is at play similarly along Palestinians today. It might well go on until the 10th generation. The Israelis will decide this because the Palestinians also take their generation seriously and are not going anywhere. So we play that in tune with our people being in the heights of the power or whatever like that, go anywhere, do anything that we want because we're the ancient founders of civilization or whatever, ban people, they can't come here, they can't do this, they can't do that. And then we look at our condition today and the whole trade in places and everything flipped. And then we're looking at the same thing going on with, ancient Canaan, Palestinians, Ammonites, all these people ruling Israel, getting their ass beat. They want help, can't get it or whatever. And then now tables turn, and then the stuff's going on now again to the people who were taking the position of we were ruling or we were the subordinate, right? So we could acknowledge that the pendulum always swings the other direction, right? And then it's gonna come back again, which is why the meek shall inherit the earth and all that stuff, because the pendulum keeps doing this. Yeah, law of polarity at all times, right, is playing a part, right? The young boys in Jerusalem and other parts of Palestine who regularly are killed, injured, colonized, and jailed by Israelis and routinely fight back, these are our fifth Palestinian generation in the struggle against Zionism. Israelis should be very worried that during these past generations, three critical things have occurred that augur badly for Israel and Zionism. Palestinians have become more proficient at technical aspects of the struggle, including military dimensions at times. Every generation has absorbed and strengthened its Palestinian national and personal identity naturally and organically by osmosis from its parents, just as Jews has done for millennia, and people all over the world increasingly appreciate the justice of the Palestinian case and the criminal and cruel behavior of most Israelis. 5 generations, count them. The first Palestinian generation, 1900 to 1920, of my grandparents' era, was the one that passively saw the duplicitous British colonial powers make conflicting promises to Arabs and Zionists about the future status of the land after the end of World War I. Right, so that's 1900s, 1920, yeah. Ottomans, that's the whole going around banning the fez, banning this and banning that. You can't say this, you can't wear this, you gotta deal with things a certain way or whatever, right? The second Palestinian generation, around 1920 to 1947, woke up to the threat of large-scale Jewish immigration in Palestine that aimed to create a Jewish state or a Jewish national home, as it was called then. Those Palestinians of my parents' generation tried but failed to resist both the colonial controls of the British and the state building plans of the Zionists. Right? And in that we have, again, like they're saying, the idea of this mass migration, them not having a home, right? Similar to other nations not having a home, go in somebody else's land, take their stuff, and then call it their home, and then kick those people out, and then have them thinking that now they're the foreigner, and the people who took over are the ones that rule stuff, right? You know, same thing with, oh yeah, Europeans are Americans, and then the Americans are colonized, marginalized, and they live in the ghettos. They got to get the shot first and all that. We got to look out for them because, right? The creation of the Jewish state.
Yeah, that's not just Taliban itself. It's a state of Israel.
It's a state of Israel, right?
Where do you go?
Where? And why aren't they where they're supposed to be at? Why are they in somebody else's land claiming that as the land? Because they know that that's really the holy land, right? Just like they know over here is the land of milk and honey. And they did their inquisition, they got the maps or whatever, and they said, okay, all the places in the world, we're gonna go there and take those people's stuff, right? And again, you could also go online and you can see the map where they go through this whole 5-generational takeover of Palestine and the encroachment, how they came in. First they had this little corner or whatever, and then they had another little corner, and then they had like half.
Like the 13 colonies.
Yeah, same exact thing, right? Same exact program, colonization of the indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous Moors of the landmass, the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Amalekites, Hittites, everybody else that Noah Drawley brought to our attention who is our family, who is our ancestors. And the stuff is going on again, you know, just in a different part of the world. But also too, and this is what made me say to do the Palestinian rally is that it's the same fight. We go there, fezzed up, and go build with some of them, they're gonna know exactly where we're coming from. It's not gonna be a question as to what's going on. You know what I mean? If you got any thoughts, comments, you can just throw those up.
I think that's how their flag is that color too, to show the connection.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Yeah. They got the RBG in there and everything. Yeah. The third Palestinian generation around 1948 to 1970, my birth generation, was stunned by the loss of Palestine and their own refugeehood and exile, or their occupation by the new state of Israel. They could only depend on Arab states, support in the struggle for their Palestinian land and rights, which failed and reached a nadir in the losses of the 1967 June War. The fourth Palestinian generation around 1968 to 2000, the generation of my children, started to mobilize through any means possible and fight back with small-scale guerrilla actions and organized political action through the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO. The two intifadas of 1987 and 2000 marked serious popular resistance against Israel and Zionism, using nonviolent and violent means, as well as 1933's Oslo Accords, failed attempt to achieve our national rights through diplomacy that would lead to statehood and an end of the Israeli occupation. So part of our issue that a lot of these individuals don't have is that they don't have the misclassification. All of them know they're Palestinian. There's no bunch of Palestinians saying, "Oh, we're butterscotch people and we want butterscotch rights or whatever." They know what their national origin is. They know their national rights. They know their land, and they know that people are violating them. Opposed to our situation where we don't know that this is our land. We don't know what our rights are. We don't know what flag is. We don't know what national whatever is. We just think, we're supposed to get respected just because we're who we are, or we say who we are, or whatever like that, without having any tangible, actual, factual position in the world. Because when we look around the world, there's no black entertainment, whatever, anywhere else. It's only here. There's no none of that. I mean, and if they have it anywhere else, they're filming what's here. They're not in their own place talking to black people there and showing them being a clown or whatever. Show our people being clowns, right? The fifth Palestinian generation since 2000 is on the streets of Palestine today, fighting and killing and doing anything it can to end this conflict and achieve its national liberty. This generation, including my baby granddaughter, was born or came to maturity during the Oslo years, which produced neither statehood nor an end to Zionist occupation and colonization. So since the birth of modern Zionism in the mid-1890s, 5 Palestinian generations have tried but failed to resist Zionist plans and the military brutality of the Israeli state. Every Palestinian family today, among some 9 million Palestinians, can go through this timeline and remember its own history. Why do these successive generations not forget and just roll over and surrender or emigrate to distant lands? What is it about exiled people that makes them battle to the death, even onto the 10th generation? Maybe it has something to do with Psalms 137, verse 5. How can we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forgot you, O Jerusalem, may my right hand forget her skill. May my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you, if I do not exalt Jerusalem above my chief joy. And that was author Rami Khoury, and that's Hartford Belfer Center, Belfer, BELFER Center.org. 5 generations of Palestinians, no surrender in sight. So that's again just to one, show solidarity with them, and 2, to show that they haven't given up the fight with all the stuff that they're going through over there, and they're going through it over there. The idea of national pride, not falling victim to the atrocities and yielding just because these things are going on. These people say they're going to fight to the death for their stuff because they know that it's theirs. You know what I mean? They know without a shadow of a doubt that people colonized them. Right now, people are walking in their house, walking them out the house and taking over the house because of some, well, this is Israeli, this is not Palestinian stuff. This is ours or whatever, when they know they stole that stuff. So look at the honor. We have this as real time right now, Palestinian national identity and how these people are standing up for their national home, which again goes back to the great work or the amount of work that we have to do as Moors just to get this word out to our people. Hopefully they come to their senses and they get on board with trying to fix our problems, because there's no one from any other nation, including the nations who are abusing us, that's going to help us get out of whatever mess it is that we're in. All right. Any questions?
I was gonna add that the Palestinians, another difference is a lot of accountability. Like they know no one's gonna fix this but us.
Yeah.
No one's gonna get us out of the situation but us. And I'm waiting on Israel to let up or protesting in the street talking about leave us alone. They're very much fighting back.
Right. Yeah.
Our people are afraid to be martyrs.
Yeah.
They don't remember what it was like to be a martyr. Like wanted to go to war. Like they scared now.
That's a better look.
Yeah.
That's what
That's what saying.
That's
That's
like
like they're fighting for the wrong thing.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Energy's in the wrong place. Yeah.
The fight for a postal address.
You're ready to run away from the wide open, but also go right on their op block or something.
Yeah.
All that.
Yep.
Just down the road. The blood went to Elias.
Straight.
So imagine if all the gangs in one city were like, you're like, that'd be pretty
Done
dumb.
right there. They tried that, but as soon as they tried that, they find a way to jump for it. They tried that.
Exactly.
We kind of like the Black Panther and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
It's like what we were talking about yesterday, that people like Cliff Sobel,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like you're always gonna have inside spies. You know? They're always gonna send someone within you who has some type of animosity towards you because of your fame.
Mhm. Yeah.
I feel like he's mad because GS didn't put him on the track.
Yeah. More. He's more mad than he's more mad at Jamal than me.
That's what I don't get.
I got it easy. I got it easy. He's big man. Huh?
I'm not up to date with this one right now, so.
Huh?
That's the Cliff Booth.
Cliff Sobel's running.
So
That's Randy's name too.
Yeah, that was his name before. Yeah, so we just say we're gonna take off his turban and fez and just make him put him back into the dead state. Yeah. So this brother, the same Supreme Grand Council, Moore, who's always talking about Supreme Grand Council or whatever. So he put up.
You guys say you review them?
He's not really. He's been around. Same one who I co-authored 77 Amazing Facts with.
All right.
He put up another video talking about how Moors are domestic terrorists and using Jamal Bey and Rise of the Moors as the example of what Moors are not supposed to be doing or whatever like that, because they do like Second Amendment right to bear arms and they're probably some of the more open active Moors out there. Like they do children's services protests and stuff like that. So there's a European out there who he's into that whole realm of fights of people, fight for the rights of children, no pedophilia, exposing pedophiles and all this or whatever. So him and Jamal had a live, and in the live they were cracking on just the incompetence of our people. You know what I mean? And
This is Jamal?
yeah, Jamal and the European.
Okay.
And he was used, Cliff Solo was using it from the perspective of, look how this Moor lets this European say nigger and lets this European, talk how he's talking and he's not doing anything. He's laughing with it. You know what I mean? These aren't the Moors that you should be following or whatever. So we went live with Jamal last night. That was actually when he called me.
Okay.
I was live with him, and we were just talking about it, and he was just giving the breakdown of the relationship that him and the European have. And Rami also used a video of Jamal exercising right to travel, getting stopped by the highwayman, they busting the glass and pulling him out and all that stuff, and using that as the example, just like how, SPLC and FBI and whoever else use the negative stuff that Moors do to try to deter people from being down with it.
They got
So-
arrested, but he won't show them. He got released like an hour later.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
won't show that.
Yeah, so one of the things, for example, like he was talking about that when he got arrested after they bust his glass or whatever, they had him in the front seat of the highwayman car. Right? They had him in the front, took him to the station and all that stuff. It wasn't no big deal like that. You know what I'm saying? They were just being their dick self or whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't crazy like that. But peace more. So that's what's going on with. That's what's going on.
You were saying that someone was getting it, you were saying.
Say that again?
You said someone was getting it. You were saying that someone was getting it.
Peace more. What's good? Yeah. Black Fez. Cleaners. Every time I see this more, the Fez right now. Every time I see the Fez right now, I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right.
You were saying that he was getting it. You were saying the guy was getting it from Jamal? You were saying there must have been a lash out, I guess, right? Or not?
Yeah, because he's whatever attacks he sort of made on me is small compared to the stuff that he's doing with Jamal, because he's pretty much saying that this man's a domestic terrorist and all this, and he's about to go out there and shoot police and do all this madness because he has guns or whatever, when that's not even close to the case. That's just a op, you know what I mean? Trying to take a group of Moors, classify them under some whatever, in hopes that everybody gets painted with this brush. You know what I mean? Because it's a Moor saying it. It's not FBI saying it now. It's not SPLC or Anti-Defamation League. If a Moor is saying this, then there must be some type of credibility to this position that this Moor is taking. So, but yeah. So whatever he's mad at, we don't know what the hell he's mad at, but he's big mad, huge mad.
Or maybe he's not even mad at all. Maybe he just got a paycheck to just.
Yeah. He could have got his envelope. Yeah, he could have got his envelope, and that's just what it is. Yeah.
Body snatching, man.
Yeah, don't be surprised if it's a body snatcher that happened.
Didn't that all start with the interview with the lawyer?
Yeah. There was some stuff going on before that, but that was part of it. Because when we were all on there beating up on the lawyer or whatever, and then he put out a video apologizing to the lawyer. Moore shouldn't be acting like that, and
Who's this one? The same guy?
the same, yeah. Moore shouldn't be acting like that. We're supposed to teach love, and we can't talk rude to people and all this or whatever. Like, yeah, this dude is tripping, super tripping.
It's like Smokey and Friday in the pigeon coop.
But,
Yeah.
where does he reside out of, this person?
California, Cali.
And is he involved with any groups of?
No, he's not involved like that.
He's just a critic.
He said, he's limited in his activity. You know what I mean? He's limited in his activity. So it could be that too. You know what I mean? When when people are passive, and they don't got anything else better to do, I guess this is sort of where they're gonna go, you know. But it doesn't mean go out and start slandering Moors, telling lies on Moors because you're passive. Like if you're passive, just take off your turban and fez and go back to the state where the Prophet found you until you're ready to be active, or you know, or connect with some Moors and get active or something like that or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's not like we were saying when he had his newsletter going out and all that stuff. It's not like he wasn't doing things for the nation. So you know what happened. You know what happened.
Who's that?
The same dude. Someone had asked, I don't know, we can put this out to anybody else who did any research, but did those modern day Palestinians kick out the original Moors of Palestine? And I wouldn't even say that it's a kick out. We look at it as those are the amalgamated generations that came after the foundation. Because when we, like Moore was saying, when you check their flag, they got all our colors in their flag. When you check their culture, they're one of the most strong defenders of national rights. You know what I mean? PLO, they put gun in hand for their stuff. They're not just, you know what I mean, talking about it. Like they're going out. Yeah, they're going out and they're dying for it. You know what I mean?
It's funny you say that because I was, this brother seen me with my tarbouch on. He's from the east. So I'm like, where are you from? He goes, I'm from, what did he say? I forget exactly what he said. He goes, Palestine. No, he goes, Palestine or something, right? And I said to him, he said he's from Israel, right? Because now the state's Israel.
Yeah.
So I go, I like Palestine better. When I said that, he's like, brother, I love you. Like the way I said it, he was like, I'm from that place, but I knew it wasn't like a history behind it. So I said Palestine, right? And automatically, he's like, brother, I love you. You know, like he was just like, when we recognize what they're dealing with, it's like.
That's a random, or that's somebody from work?
Random, it was a restaurant owner.
Okay, yeah. Because we're looking to try to find one of the rallies.
Okay.
The Palestinian rallies to one of those.
The same brother there, I want the information.
So yeah.
That he's from Palestine.
Okay, yeah. So find out from him what's going on,
Yeah.
so we could do the support aspect. You know. Yeah, so when we look at the idea of the Palestinians and their relation to the Moors, know that they're not even Palestinian, they're ancient Canaanites. Right? That's who they are. Palestinians modern, but it's less corrupt than Israel. The Palestinians modern. And as soon as they start talking about ancient Palestine and all that stuff, they're talking about Canaanites, Moabites, and all that. They're not talking about some modern people, you know, that just started claiming some flag or whatever. You know what I mean? We're looking at same way, like we said, we're looking at, this is bloodline. You know what I mean? And they're tying themselves back to their bloodline and trying to do their best to get out of, or to get over of this colonial activity that's going on in their land. That, like we said, they have 5 generations that they can track to show that, well, You know, it started off like we were fighting for this, and then by the fifth generation, it's not even a fight anymore. People are literally willing to put their life on the line to make sure that they keep the national idea, the national history, the national perspective going as far as they're concerned. You know what I mean? And that fight is one where you need allies. You need people talking on your behalf. Because if somebody could just walk in their house, tell them, you gotta leave or whatever, and they're leaving, that stuff is off the chain. Like that's next level colonization. You know what I mean? We're looking at, you murder in the street, but you're still getting your 20 million after they murder you. You know what I mean? Whereas over there, you're not even getting any opportunity to have anything. They're taking all your stuff. You know what I mean? And then they're exiling you out your own land. Forget out your house. After you lose your house that they stole from you, now you have to go into exile somewhere else. You know? Yeah, like straight inquisition going on. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so if we can lend our energy to them, even if it's in support, you know what I mean, showing some solidarity with them, I think it'll only help our cause, you know, if we're willing to stand up for others, which what we should be doing anyways.
Right, because they got, it's like you said, exile out of their land, because they're coming over here.
Yeah.
Right, it's like a stock. Canada's bringing them over here.
Yeah.
Setting them up, and doing whatever, Canada's taking their cut for each stock that's bringing that brought over here, right? So, yeah, they see where when we take that position as Morris, and you're fed up and turned up, they recognize where we're from. They know exactly where we're from. It's like
the dude on the walk, he was the Métis, French Métis, whatever. His friend knew everything. He's like, Shrine is with friends and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Boy knows, you know.
Sorry, you see Trudeau saying that Israel and Palestine should do some type of treaty or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some type of agreement.
Yeah, but and again, that's playing middle ground. Playing middle ground.
But that's like him talking for Canada when they took land from us.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah. I have a question about because I was watching this guy on Instagram. His name is Matthew Green, and he it has something to do with the Haudenosaunee Confederacy or whatever. Haudenosaunee. Haudenosaunee.
So,
Confederacy.
MP, is he not? Yeah, that's an MP.
Yeah. He's just a city.
MP.
Yeah. Articles of Confederacy come based off that. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which is what you're.
Oh, okay. Because I read it, and I read on their website, and it said like the Haudenosaunee Confederacy is based off of like the American Constitution. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Says what it said.
Yeah.
Not lying, but
it says what it says, right? But like when he's reading it, like when he's in Parliament or whatever, he doesn't articulate that. You know what I mean? He just states Haudenosaunee Confederacy, right? And then after that, he's stipulating and tags the UNDRIP, and he's like, "Listen, if you guys want your rights back or whatever, you guys have to like make a move towards making claims and stuff like that, right?"
But to kind of back up what you're saying, you know Matthew Green, you know what his position is. He's a Mason.
No, I know, but I'm just reading it from the context of how he's sharing it.
He's sharing it in a subliminal way. The blacks ain't gonna get what he's saying.
No, I understand that. I'm just like, I'm just peering into how he articulates himself,
Don't subliminal
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because like if I didn't get into this information, I'd be like, what the hell is this?
What are you talking about?
It'd be all riff after me.
So actually, he's the one that you actually want to build with.
Yeah.
If they'll even have that convo.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they ain't trying to talk with anybody.
Once they sold, we're in there.
Yeah.
I see it.
You know that for too good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm not lying. I'm just like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far radical. It's too much.
Like, I'll tell them that trying to come back home.
It's not working. It's not working. Come on.
Stay where you are, yo. You're fine enough, man.
Come on.
Doesn't matter what type. So
Yeah. Another thing on was there was I think there was a few people this week, unconscious, that were making a lot of relations to the 5-point star, and then the connection to Satanism, and if it's upside down, what does that mean? And all that stuff, panicking or whatever. Right? So we just want to do some 5-point star in relation to Satanism, and then our position with even using it, just the fact that we use it, right? Whether it's, sideways, upside down, whatever, that's more a star regardless of what, right? So this is more clarity for other people.
And another, to say what you're add on to what you're saying, that's men within that star.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Spread your leg open and go like this.
Yeah.
Spread your arm open. That's you.
Yeah.
What does Lucifer mean? Light bringer, right?
Yeah.
That's the light. That's the light. Venus.
Mhm. Yeah. And that might be too deep for him.
Yeah. It's too deep.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying to someone. You can't, like, I was just showing Brother Tyreek, and like, just telling these people about like different, like, stuff that, we adults would talk about or something, Say, Tyreek, they don't even know they're not black. Why would you even tell them that? It's too advanced.
Yeah.
What that is?
So the article is called The Psychological Power of Satan. Scientificamerican.com. Scientificamerican.com. The Psychological Power of Satan. How a belief in pure evil shapes people's thinking. Justice Antonin Scalia and Kaiser Sose agree. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled is convincing the world he didn't exist. Fortunately for them, the devil does not seem to be effectively executing this plan. Some 70% of Americans, according to a 2007 Gallup poll, believe in his existence. This personification of evil has implications beyond the supernatural, influencing how we think about what it means for people to be pure evil. And as we prepare to playfully celebrate the wicked and depraved on Halloween night, it is worth pausing to reflect on some of the psychological and behavioral consequences of these beliefs. Evil has been defined as taking pleasure in the intentional inflicting of harm on innocent others. And ever since World War II, social psychologists have been fascinated by the topic. Many of the formative thinkers in the field, Kurt Lewin, Stanley Milgram, Solomon Asch, were inspired by their experiences with and observances of what appears to most people at the time to be indisputably incarnation of pure evil. But what many saw as a clear demonstration of redeemable and deep-seated malice, these researchers interpreted as more. In the words of Hannah Ardent Banal, from Milgram's famous studies of obedience to Zimbardo's prison study, psychologists have argued for the roots of evil actions in quite ordinary psychological causes. This grounding of evil in ordinary as opposed to extraordinary phenomena has led some to describe the notion of pure evil as a myth, a misguided understanding of human nature, deriving both from specific socio-cultural traditions as well as a general tendency to understand others' behavior as a product solely of their essence, their soul, as opposed to a more complicated combination of environmental and individual forces. Peace, man. We can move on. Yeah, we'll build it. All right. The issue of whether pure evil exists, however, is separate from what happens to our judgments and our behavior when we believe in its existence. It is this question to which several researchers have recently begun to turn. How can we measure people's belief in pure evil, and what consequences does such a belief have on our responses to wrongdoers? According to this research, one of the central features is evil's perceived immutability. Evil people are born evil, they cannot change. Two judgments follow this perspective. One, evil people cannot be rehabilitated, and two, the eradication of evil requires only the eradication of all the evil people. Following this logic, the research hypothesis that there would be a relationship between belief in pure evil and the desire to aggress toward and punish wrongdoers. Researchers have found support for this hypothesis across several papers containing multiple studies and employing diverse methodologies. Belief in pure evil predicts such effects as harsher punishment for crimes, stronger reported support for the death penalty, and decreased support for criminal rehabilitation. Follow-up studies corroborate these findings, showing that belief in pure evil also predicts the degree to which participants perceive the world to be dangerous and vile, the perceived need for preemptive military aggression to solve conflicts, and reported support of torture. Regardless of whether the devil actually exists, belief in the power of human evil seems to have significant and important consequences for how we approach solving problems of real-world wrongdoings. When we see people's antisocial behavior as a product of an enduring and powerful malice, we see few options beyond the comprehensive and immediate assault on the perpetrators. They cannot be helped, and any attempts to do so would be a waste of time and resources. If we accept the message from the decades of social psychological research that at least some instances of violence and malice are not the results of pure evil, that otherwise decent individuals can, under certain circumstances, be compelled to commit horrible acts, even atrocities, then the result of these studies serve as an important cautionary tale. The longer we cling to strong beliefs about the existence of pure evil, the more aggressive and antisocial we become. And we may be aggressing towards individuals who are in fact redeemable, individuals who are not intrinsically and immutably motivated by the desire to intentionally cause harm on others. That may be the greatest trick the devil has ever pulled. So putting that in context with the idea of when Moors present the 5 points and immediately they go to Satan, they go to the devil, they go to witchcraft, they go to occult, they go to things that have this negative frequency opposed to the factual thing that it is, that's the star of Venus. So the star of Venus, what's that have to do with Satanism or whatever? Like where is this Satan thing coming from? It's that psychological that they haven't grasped yet about their reality that has you have the elements like Cliff Solar or whatever, putting out this negative perspective about Moore's jealousy or Moore said whatever like that without qualifying certain things, right? The geometry of point star. This is .com, right? So this is what they know about the 5-point star. Even though Noble Drew Ali presented to us, more science. Here goes sciencing, sciencing.com have their own section about the 5-point star and the science of it, not the emotionalism about it or the 5-point star, symbol on flags and in religion. A golden 5-point star that has points of equal length and equal angles of 36 degrees at each point. Function. The 5-point star is a common ideogram in many concepts throughout the world and is featured on many flags and in religious symbols as well. When a 5-point star is drawn using points of equal length along with 36 degrees angles at each point, then the 5-point star is often referred to as a golden 5-point star. The pentagram is the simplest regular star polygon containing 10 points. Make up the vertices of the inner pentagon. The pentagon star, let me do this. So the pentagram is the simplest regular star. Points make up the tips of the 5 points make up the vertices of the inner pentagon. The pentagram or 5-point star also consists of 15 different line segments. By joining the collinear edges of the 5-point star together, a pentagon is produced. Like a regular pentagon and like a regular pentagon that has a pentagram constructed within it, the regular pentagram has the dihedral group of order 10 as the symmetric group.
15. What did you say about 15?
15 different line segments.
Make up the corner, like the angle.
Make up the outside,
Yeah. Inside.
and then the inside to make the pentagram. Yeah. So 15, 6, and then the 36 degrees of all from the point. Every point in, that's 36 degrees, right? That's 5, so that's 180, which is 9. And then let's keep going. Considerations. Not only does a standard 5-point star have a pentagon in the middle, but when you connect the points together with line segments, you will have created a proportional pentagon on its outer edges as well. Additionally, you can form a golden 5-point star using a series of embedded pentagrams. Size. While not all 5-point stars have to possess points of the same length and points of equal lengths, golden 5-point stars are perfect in this regard. A regular polygon, like the one that sits in the center of a 5-point star, has equal angles of 108 degrees each. Right, it's 9 again. Right, and then if you take the one from the 8, that's 7. Right, so either way, we're looking at our numerology. The points of a golden 5-point star are all 6 degrees each, making the other 2 angles of each point of the star 72 degrees each. So they're 9 again. And then the 72 times the 5, that's the 360 again, which again goes back to this um, idea of us looking at our history, culture, and all that as science, as metaphysical, as esoteric, not, just the star in the sky. Even the angles and the points have something to do with it. 5-pointed stars can have points with unique line segment lengths and different angled points, but these are not golden 5-point stars, meaning that their points are not equal to one another. The only characteristic that makes a 5-point star what it is possessing 5 points constructed from connecting line segments. The rules relating to golden 5-point stars are much more specific, however, dictating specific angles and equal lengths of each of the 5 points. So for the devil worshiping people and the evil people, and this is not what we're supposed to be doing because Satan or whatever like that. It's the star of Venus, and the 5-point star is man reaching deific life. The 5-point star is man knowing themselves. The 5-point star is the star at the top of the tree. The 5-point star is the 50 states. The 5-point star is the lone state. The 5-point star goes into so many different avenues that to just limit it to some demonic thing is taking away all the good about it. And then remember that as soon as they go there, that it's evil or it's devilish or whatever, know that they're probably borderline psychological issues that these people have, just for the fact that they're bringing up fictitious entities, Satans and devils and all that stuff, when Drew Ali told these people in the 20s the lower self is the devil and Satan and the beast and all these other different things that they call, demonic. All of it goes back to lower self in man, which lower self in man is gonna be opposite of the higher self. And if the higher self is the mother of virtues and everything that is right and good in life, then obviously the opposite of that is going to be everything negative. And all of that comes from man. None of that comes from possessed by somebody or whatever like that. That's man, right? Man not being in the higher self. So there they are, right? That's what they have to deal with. And the mother just put in the chat, from sacred geometry and magical symbols, the pentagon and pentagram are also present in the chemical compound of our DNA. So if the pentagon and the pentagram are in the DNA and that's moving, which means it's not standing in one place or whatever, that's going to be upside down too, then this is how they get the quote unquote devil being 666, and the 666 is 6 protons, 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, and that's what makes man up. You know what I mean?
That's probably why the Pentagon, like the United States Pentagon,
that
they're building, I guess as their headquarters for defense, probably has some scientific connection to why they have that shape of the building.
Most definite. They could have did any shape. And for them to do that, for them to go the route of that is telling.
And they probably have like other buildings like outside the Pentagon that like have points at certain points that probably make us.
Yeah. There was I don't remember who it was. I think it was Manly P. Hall, who had I can't remember. It might not have been Manly P. Hall, but there was an author that had a book about that, dealing with the whole design of Washington D.C. and all the different buildings, what
I was on this camp back up where you're saying about how, like, a lot of people that are saying that automatically, like, when they see the star, they say, "Oh, that's devil." It's like, when you check a lot of them, it's like they haven't even went into or done any type of research on the star or nothing.
Zero.
They just said, "No, I saw my grandmother tell me." Like, you just pass, like, verbal things are just passed down, and you gotta like look into it.
No check, no fact checking.
Well, in school, you would call that a fail because you have to elaborate in your answer.
Yeah.
Communication's key, right?
Yeah.
You don't just get marked for thinking.
Yeah, that's
just opening up your mouth.
Yeah. That's the stuff on the test when you get the -6. -6. Well, you didn't show how you got your answer.
Exactly.
Just put the answer down. Like, what the hell do you want?
Exactly.
But I know the answer. Okay, well, how do you get it?
You just know there's people like that though, because in high school, right? Not that like people couldn't pass, right? It's just your mind, your state of mind. Like, it's like the teachers will tell you, you do not, like, there's no such thing as failing here. All you have to do is just come. Like, I'll give you the loophole so you can pass. Just come to class. But some guys would still manage to figure out a way not to pass. It's like, how? Like, the teacher will give you answers. The teacher will cheat on the paperwork to make them look good, you know. But like, you're still finding ways to screw up. Like,
they need those numbers. They need those numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Usually the homework.
Yeah, the average, you know.
That's how you do the homework.
Yeah. Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. Mysteries of the Silent Brotherhood. Chapter 9. 19. Yeah, chapter 19. Joshua takes the 6th degree and passed the 6th Addip chamber of the eastern sages. In all the land there was no place, on page 34, in all the land there was no place more grandly furnished than the beauty parlors of the Temple of the Sun. Few students ever entered these rooms. The priests guarded them with awe and called them halls of mysteries. When Joshua had attained the victory over fear, he gained the right to enter here. The guide led on the way, and after passing many richly furnished rooms, they reached the Hall of Harmony, and there was Joshua left alone. Among the instruments of music was a harpsichord, and Joshua sat in a thoughtful mood, inspecting it, when quietly a maiden of entrancing beauty came into the hall. She did not seem to notice Joshua as he sat and mused, so busy with his thoughts. She found her place beside the harpsichord. She turned the chords smote gently, and she sang songs of Israel. And Joshua was entranced. Such beauty he had never seen, such music he had. The maiden sang her songs. She didn't seem to know that anyone was near. She went her way. And Joshua, talking with himself, set out, "What is the meaning of this incident?" I did not know that such entrancing beauty and such queen-like loveliness were ever found among the sons of men. I did not know that voice of angel ever graced in human form, or that seraphic music ever came from human lips. For days he sat entranced. The current of his thoughts was changed. He thought of nothing but the singer and her songs. He longed to see her once again, and after days she came. She spoke and laid her hand upon his head. Her touch thrilled all his soul, and for a time forgot the work that he was sent to do. Few were the words the maiden said. She went her way. But then the heart of Joshua had been touched. A love flame had been kindled in his soul, and he was brought to the face of sore trial of life. He could not sleep, nor could he eat. The thoughts of the maiden came. They would not go. His carnal nature called aloud for her companionship. And then he said, "Lo, I have conquered every foe that I have met. And shall I now be conquered by carnal love? My Father sent me here to show the power of love divine, that love that reaches every single thing. Shall this pure universal love be all absorbed by carnal love? Shall I forget all creatures else and love my life in this fair maiden? Though she is the highest type of beauty, purity, and love, into its very depths his soul is stirred, and long he wrestled with the angel idol of his heart. When the day was almost lost, his higher ego rose in might. He found himself again, and then he said, "Although my heart shall break, I shall not fall in this my hardest task. I will be victor over carnal love." And when again the maiden came and offered him her hand and heart, he said, "Fair one, your very presence thrills me with delight. Your voice is benediction to my soul. My human self would fly with you and be contented in your love. But all the world is craving for love that I have come to manifest. I must then bid you go, but we will meet again. Our ways on earth will not be cast apart. I see you in the hurrying throngs of earth as minister of love. I hear your voice in song that wins the hearts of men to do better." And then in sorrow and in tears, the maiden went away, and Joshua was alone again. Instantly, the great bells of the temple rang. The grotto blazed with the light. The Hierophant himself appeared and said, all hail triumphant Logos. Hail the conqueror of carnal love stands on the height. And then he placed in Joshua's hand a scroll in which was written, "Love Divine." Together they passed from the grotto of the beautiful temple, and the banquet hall. A feast was served, and Joshua was the honored guest. How many thoughts on that chapter?
Yeah. We're all male there, still chasing females and stuff. It's the lower self battle, right?
Yeah.
The female was the lower self because she cried and the lower self passed away, and
Mm-hmm.
and he conquered that because the higher self doesn't pass, right?
Right.
So the lower self cried and went on her way. It's really appealing, like what he said he came to manifest something greater than that.
Yeah. The divine love versus the carnal love, yeah.
It's a battle, but I'm sure all of us men, we can all relate to something like that.
Yeah. I
think the key thing is he understood that he couldn't have any attachments with her at that time, right? Because his purpose was greater, much greater, right, than his carnal self. So to deny that yearning, that longing, right?
It's funny, I can relate to that. I had an ex that was just like that, you know. Couldn't get over her.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like when you do anything to try to get back.
Yeah.
It's like, and you know, it took a long time to realize, okay, it's not gonna get back to that point ever, right? And eventually all it just raises up your vibration.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Once you conquer it. Yeah.
Or try to come back, you just, you know, it's a caution, big caution sign coming up.
Matter of fact, say that again, because there might be some exes, you know, people with exes that haven't been able to deal with it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go online and they're gonna bash people and stuff like that instead of just dealing with.
Like,
But just say that.
like,
Say that thing that you just said with the ex thing again.
well, I mean,
Or getting over.
it's gonna take you a long time, but like I said, that's lower self. Because lower self is lust and, you know, all that, you know, that stuff that the higher self doesn't have, right? So it's all illusion, right? I mean, it's gonna take you a while, but once you get there, it passes away and all it just raises up your vibration to like a sense of, you know, what your actual purpose is, you know? But that's the battle. Your lower self literally battles with the higher self to want that carnal love for that physical being that you want, right? But it's up to you because you have free will.
Right.
You have free will to choose. Am I going to stay stuck in this realm or am I going to keep elevating?
Right. Straight. Definitely I got stuck freaking here. It's not about stuck here.
It's almost like a prison of the mind.
Yeah.
Right? Separation anxiety is something that we all experience, right? So, especially when it comes to females, it's like when you have those emotional attachments, right? And you long for it because you're familiar with those things, right?
Yeah.
And there's no comparison because you've already built, you know, established something with that person. So it's tough, stuff. But self-love, right?
Which is higher self.
Yeah, that's what's lacking.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly. So it's contrast to it's like, what's wrong with you? You're talking to your future self. It's like, you know, it's like, what's going on with you, man? Like, you're stronger than that. You know, it's a big man thing. You know? Like, it's like, want to give yourself, you know, a couple bucks. Like, yo, wake up.
You're not even battling with that person that you love to get back.
No,
it's the self.
No,
It's yourself that you're
yeah. I always say, like, you just holding a mirror to yourself.
Yeah.
Just always daily, just holding up that mirror, right? Talking to yourself, right? So me now talking to you guys talking to me, I'm talking to myself. Right? It's the same thing. It's that one.
Yeah, we all have to, you know, practice self-preservation. You know, it's not easy.
You know,
it's not easy.
It's not meant to be easy.
Time, you know? That's why we're supposed to have, like, I guess, like,
this
sister, sisters should have sisterhood, and then men should have their own men outlet too. You know what I mean? So that we're able to, like, because we're not gonna see the first person if the girl is right for us, you know. So you're supposed to, like, bring them to your counsel, you could basically say, and then your counsel could do, you know,
Look for it.
do the readings, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, that you can see your blind side.
Because like when you're in love, you're blind.
Love is blind. Love is blind.
Exactly. You're blind. Like, this is like, wait. Like, I don't care what mother's saying. Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, my brother's hating on me because he knows I got a better team. That's nothing, you know? So,
and again, that's ego. Right?
And then some females, they don't want to hang out with other females just because they feel that, like, if I bring this guy to all my girls are gonna start picking at them like chickens. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, your sister is supposed to there to protect you at the same time. You know, It's like how we're supposed to be there for our brothers, to be like, yo, I know that sister
Yeah.
from back in the day. Don't go
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, like,
Better not mess with her heart and all that.
yeah. She's stealing man's hearts and stabbing it up.
It all goes back to self. Like,
Yeah. Straight
no
up.
one else is self.
Yeah, but we're a nation, right?
Yeah, but ultimately self.
Yeah. Every individual in the nation has to be grounded in self.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other part to what you're saying is when after she goes to her and then he goes to his, then they come together, right? And then now they exchange that way,
Yeah.
so that everybody's clear, everybody understands what that side sees, and then what this side sees, and then there's a mutual, somewhere in the middle where we can meet and hopefully have some type of peace and harmony and all that stuff.
Before we're just getting into things,
Yeah.
like, you get what I mean. We're just jumping in there and like it's just like, yo, now it's more spiritual because you make your bed, you have to lay in it.
Yeah.
That's right. There's a maturity.
Yeah.
There's a maturity. All that was because you're exercising, your intellect, your consciousness, your emotions, your physical self too as well. You're always exercising, right? Those things, right? So you're what I tell people sometimes is like people say, oh, I want this person to have this, and this. No, you need to become the person that you're looking for. Right? Once you become the person that you're looking for, that's when that person shows up. That could be just you. You're showing up for yourself.
Right.
You get what you put in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like you said too, everybody's gonna mirror back to you
Mhm.
where you're lacking.
Right.
Always.
Yeah.
As long as you're seeking externally for something that you're missing, trying to fill those holes,
Those points.
Mhm.
you're always gonna get disappointed.
Yeah, that's
So,
Right.
we don't get taught that.
Yeah.
We fall into Hollywood kind of concept of.
Right.
Yeah.
White picket fence.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Chapter 20, the attic chamber of the dead, the mysteries of Egypt. All right, take it easy. All right.
Well, the Palestine brothers, there's one yesterday.
Yeah. That's what made me think. I was watching the news this morning, and I was like, yo, go to one of those. So that'll be the one to just go one of those.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna ask him who's another.
Yeah. He was at that one yesterday?
Yeah.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah.
That's funny story.
Huh?
And that just shows me, like this happening right now shows you that the corona thing is like, this is a cycle.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't even mentioned at all yesterday.
Nothing.
If it was something else, they would have been,
Nothing.
you're violating corona lockdown, 1, 2, 3, something. But
Yeah.
They couldn't dare open their mouth about
Yeah, what they gonna say? What they gonna tell
all
them?
those guys,
Even though, yeah.
The Israelites, I mean, it's not the Israelites, but the Palestinians and what's the other one again?
Israelis?
Israelis,
Yeah.
they were there too, but
Yeah.
the police were just there separating them. Basically.
Yeah, but then the other part too was the anti-corona people were out there too.
That's what I'm saying.
They were out there too. Yeah. There was mad people out there though. From the thing, there was mad people out there.
When I seen like the aerial thing, it kind of looked like the playoffs in the rap.
Yeah. There was people out there.
Not
Yeah.
that much, but kind of.
Yeah, there was people out there. Like there was people out there. Yeah.
In the streets. Like,
Yeah.
No car there.
There was people out there. No cars on the street. People walking.
Nobody social distance.
No distancing, no masking, nothing. Yeah. I seen some Palestinian guys with their masks on or whatever. You know what I mean?
You're gonna have a few.
But yeah, you're gonna have one or two.
If you look on Facebook, you'll have like some Palestinian people, like people from the Middle East. They'll post their bid, like their altercation of their altercation with the system
Mm-hmm.
to show, oh, F the system or whatever. I'm Palestinian, this, that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? To go with what's going on with
Right.
right now, you know.
Yeah.
So like they're pleading like what they like they're showing like, I guess like their colors, you know? They're not on the Israel side, they're on the Palestinian side.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where they walk, you know?
Yeah. The attic chamber of the dead, the mysteries of Egypt. The senior course of study now was opened up, and Joshua entered and became a pupil of the Hierophant. He learned the secrets of the mystic lore of Egypt land, the mysteries of life and death, and of the world beyond the circle of the sun. When he had finished all the studies of the senior course, he went into the chamber of the dead that he might learn the ancient methods of preserving from decay the bodies of the dead, and here he wrought. And carriers brought the body of a widow's son to be embalmed. The weeping mother followed close. Her grief was great. And Joshua said, "Good woman, dry your tears. You follow but an empty house. Your son is not in it. You weep because your son is dead. Death is not a cruel word. Your something can never die, because your soul can never die." He had a task assigned to do in the garb of flesh. He came, he did his work, and then he laid the flesh aside. He did not need it anymore. Beyond the human sight, he has another work to do, and he will do it well, and then pass to other tasks. And by, he will attain the crown of perfect life. And what your son has done, and what he yet must do, we all must do. Now, if you harbor grief and give your sorrows vent, they will grow greater every day. They will absorb your very life until at last you will be naught but grief wet down with bitter tears. Instead of helping him, you grieve your soul by your deep grief. He seeks your solace now, as he has ever done, is glad when you are glad, is saddened when you grieve. Go bury deep your woes and smile at grief, and lose yourself in helping others dry their tears. With duty done comes happiness and joy, and gladness cheers the hearts of those who have passed on. The weeping woman turned and went her way to find happiness and helpfulness, to bury deeper sorrows in a ministry of joy. Then other carriers came and brought the body of a mother to the chamber of the dead. And just one mourner followed, she a girl of tender years. And as the cortege neared the door, the child observed a wounded bird in sore distress. A cruel hunter's dart has pierced its breast. And she left following the dead and went to help the living bird. With tenderness and love, she folded her breast and the wounded bird then hurried to her place. And Joshua said to her, "Why did you leave your dead to save a wounded bird?" The maiden said, "This lifeless body needs no help from me. My mother taught me this. My mother taught me that grief and selfish love and hopes and fears are but reflexes of the lower self. And what we sense is but small waves upon the rolling billows of a life. These all will pass away. They are unreal. Tears follow from hearts of flesh. The spirit never weeps. And I am longing of the day when I can walk in the light where tears are wiped away. My mother taught that all emotions are sprays that rise from the human love and hope and fears. That perfect bliss cannot be ours till we have conquered these." And in the presence of that child, Joshua bowed his head in reverence. He said, "For days and months and years I have sought to learn the highest truth that man can learn on earth. And here a child, fresh brought to the earth, has told it all in one short breath. No wonder David said, 'O Allah, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Out of the mouth of babes and suckling hast thou ordained strength.' And then he laid his hand upon the maiden's head and said, 'I am sure that the blessings of my Father Allah will rest upon you, child, forever.'" Islam. His thoughts on that one?
reminds me of like when I was at a funeral, like a family funeral. Everybody's just weeping, and I'm like, fezzed up, and I'm showing everybody, it's not good to be crying, I'm trying to explain to them, but there's so much, such low vibration that they don't even comprehend anything that I'm telling them, because it's so, like, the sorrow and the grief is just, like you said, it took over the whole body, it took over the whole soul. They had no time to think about what I was saying, right?
Probably they were wearing all black too.
Yeah.
It's true, as a child too, the first time I was at a funeral, I saw a body. I saw everybody approaching the body and crying, everybody was crying. It was my turn to go up, and I went up and I looked at it, and I felt peace. I just felt calm, and then I was like, wow, I need to cry. I had to cry, I thought, what's wrong with me? I'm not crying. But I just looked at, it was my grandmother, and it's like, that's not her. That's the first thought that came to my mind was, no, that's not her. And I actually felt peaceful. I felt the peace. And so that was my first lesson. I didn't get all the tears.
Yeah, I remember that. Same thing. But it was at a wake, and the one of my best friends, and the angle that I had of the coffin at the wake, I already knew that wasn't the flesh that I knew or whatever, you know what I mean? Because he died of sickness, so he was totally different than what we remember him as or whatever. And I remember not wanting to have that as the memory, you know what I mean, of how he looked, you know what I mean, and keeping it strict to how I knew him when he was living. That's not who's in the thing, you know what I mean, and it also goes back to going back to all the different pictures and stuff like that. I find it interesting how pictures of people who transition turn to this changed picture. Like the picture itself doesn't have the essence of them in it. The pictures are foggy. The pictures are like not crisp and clear as, you know what I mean? They always turn into this foggy thing, like a clear picture. Like even the picture that we had for the service, his picture on the service picture it wasn't that crisp picture, like putting the two pictures side by side from the service and the actual photograph, and you see that the photograph lost something in it, you know what I mean? Like the energy of that being is not being housed in that body anymore, is also lost in the pictures of these individuals. Yeah.
It's like coffins and doors are the same material.
Yeah, for real.
I was just at a funeral.
Yeah.
And I was telling all my people that everybody's crying and all that, just lost somebody close, but I always try to tell them just to kind of give them some, like a peace of mind. That at the end of the day, none of this is forever.
Yeah.
All this is temporary.
Right.
So, instead of crying, all this weeping and all that stuff, how would we just honor?
Yeah.
Just remember the good times.
Right. Exactly.
Laughs and all that.
Yeah.
But they don't have to deal with all this no more. They don't have to deal with Rona.
Yeah.
They're free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? They're free. They're in the ethics.
No rent.
None of that. When they start over,
they're good. Yeah.
My father transitioned a year ago, and he found this notebook. He was so happy to go, like, all this was just.
Oh, for real, huh? Yeah.
This notebook where he wrote, Yahoo! Exclamation. See you on the other side. It was just like, no, I gotta go.
I'm done with this. Sucks.
The
Get me
nurses
out of
were
here.
like, I've never seen this before. Like, he was just like,
For real. Wow.
vitamin medication, I just,
Yeah.
he was done, he was tired.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with suffering, you get to that stage where you're just like, what the hell is this? Like,
Yeah.
this is not where it's at. You know what I mean? You know.
We jot this down quick before.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Call in everybody for their last. You know what I mean? You know, give them the last pieces of wisdom before you say, forget this.
Did you always notice that in movies? Like, they're so accurate to go, and they're like, I gotta tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
Like, you should carry you the rest of your life.
Straight. Yeah. Chapter 21. Joshua the prophet had finished his task and must now go to the sons of men with love divine and peace on earth. The work of Joshua was done, and now he must go to teach the sons of men. And in the temple he stood and said, the Son of Man has come to bring the light of life. And all the brothers stood and said, this is a royal day for all of the hosts of earth. For salvation has come to all the children of men. 6 times before the bar, 6 times a conqueror. And then one said to Joshua, brother man, most excellent of men, in all the temple tests you have won out. Upon your brow I place this diadem, and in the great assembly of all the world and heaven, you are the mastermind of all. Now man can do no more, but Allah himself would speak and confirm your title. Go your way and teach peace on earth, goodwill to man. And while the Hierophant yet spoke, the temple bells rang out in love, and the Logos journeyed on his way a conqueror. 22. Joshua addresses the 7 sages, goes to Galilee. The 7 days of silence passed, and Joshua, sitting with the sages, said, the history of life is well condensed in this immortal postulates. These are the 7 hills in which the holy city shall be built. These are the 7 sure foundation stones on which the temple will stand. I, taking up the work assigned for me to do, I am full conscious of the perils of the way. The cup will be bitter one to drink, and human nature well might shrink. But I have lost all my will in that of holy breath. And so I go my way to speak and act as I am moved to speak and act by the holy breath. The words I speak are not my own. They are the words of him whose will I do. Man is not fair enough advanced in sacred thought to comprehend within the temple of Allah. So the work that Allah gave me to do is to teach man to build the temple of love within. I am sent to be a pattern of the temple that man must build within. My task as a builder lies within my native land, and there upon whose the temple of Almighty Allah made known the Allah in man. And from the lower estate of men, I will select 7 men who will represent the temple of love, Allah in man. The house of Judah, my own kindred in flesh, will comprehend but little of my mission to the world. And they will spurn me, scorn my work, accuse me falsely, bid me, take me to the judgment seat of carnal men who will convict and slay me. But man can never slay the truth. Though banished, it will come again in greater power, for truth will subjugate the world. And the temple will live, though carnal man will prostitute its sacred laws, symbolic rites and forms for selfish ends, and make it but outward show. The few will find through the kingdom of the soul. And when the better age shall come, the temple will stand upon the 7 postulates and will be built according to the pattern given. The time has come. I go my way into the world, and by the power of living faith and by the strength that you give me. And in the name of our God Allah, the kingdom of counsel shall be established, and 7 hills. And all the sages said, Amen. And Joshua went his way. Any thoughts on that?
Here's something that was related to how it's all within, right?
Mhm.
It says, so that work that all of you do is teach the men to build a temple of within. And I was reading something earlier that was correlated to Freemasonry. Even in the Freemasonry, I gotta find the article so I can be precise with what I'm telling you. I'll get back to it, but from what I took from what I was reading was even in their secret societies, they're teaching men in those societies. Like that's all within. Like there's nothing like the rituals they teach at the rituals that they do on the outward show rituals are dead. Yeah, they say it's dead. Like they know it's dead. Right. So yeah, that's all within.
So what do you think it means when it says like it's all within? Is it like each one teach one kind of thing within the context of like, you know,
master yourself?
What we were saying about love choosing generator, operator, destroyer. It's all within.
Right. Yeah.
Choose a reality where we're destroying everything.
Yeah.
Where everything is lower self. Or at least that's the way I perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
But it all starts with me.
Right. Man is not far enough advanced in sacred thought to comprehend within the temple of Allah. So the work that Allah gave me to do is to teach men to build the temple of love within. So, when we say even, I am sent to be a pattern of the temple that must be built within, right? I am sent to be a pattern of the temple that man must build within. So when people start talking about more science temple, and then they're looking at the sign outside and all that stuff, and not looking at the individual more as more science temple, they have not far enough advanced in sacred thought, because they're still looking at, Supreme Grand Council as some group of Moors or whatever, when the metaphysics of council is the whole consciousness. The actual consciousness is the council. The council of elders is your mental faculties, is your consciousness, right? The idea of the 7 candlesticks and this idea of light being knowledge, and Yeshua having the halo over his head and it's light, and people referring that to something other than what it is, because they're not fully advanced in sacred thought. Their thought is still linear. Their thought is not cyclical. So the comprehension that they have is A to B. You know what I mean? Not serpent biting its tail and regenerating itself, constantly regenerating itself. So when we say more science temple, but then we're supposed to be scientists, and then you got 2 temples right here, then temple can't just be limited to what we see with our eyes. That's the temple only. There has to be behind the veil perspective of everything. You know what I mean? As within, so without; as above, so below. The same lessons that we've been getting from Noble, from all the different ascended masters, from all the different master teachers, that you can't just deal with the mundane only and think you're gonna get yourself out of whatever's going on. There has to be some type of inner application as well.
Right, so this is Camel's on the inward show. So it's all, this is from an Oriental mystic, ancient mystic lessons. There's Freemasonry. It says, all real initiation is an internal, not an external process. The outer ceremony is dead and useful only so far as it symbolizes and illustrates and thereby makes clear the inward change. To transform means to regenerate, and this comes by trial, by effort, by self-conquest, by sorrow, by disappointment, failure, and daily renewal of conflict. It is thus man must work on his own salvation. The consummation of initiation is finding of the crystals. The problem of genuine initiation or training in the cult consists of all the operations of the body under the dominion of the will, and freeing the ego from the dominion of the appetites and passions, the whole lower nature. The idea is not to despise the body, but to purify or transmute it, not to destroy the appetites, but to elevate and control them absolutely. This is known in alchemy as the transmutation. So it says this mystery of the mastery of the lower nature, which is lower self man, does not change the key of the physical nature as such, but subordinates it to that of a higher plane. With this, without this subordination, the glamorous lower animal nature drowns out all of the higher vibrations, as if in orchestra. The bass boils and the drums only could be heard, and the noise rather than harmony results. And saying, hence the saying, he that conquers himself is greater than he who taketh the city.
Sorry, what's the last name?
Hence saying, he that conquers himself is greater than he who taketh the city.
Yeah, and then we put that with what we're talking about with the Palestine and stuff like that, and all those people who conquered those people's city instead of conquering themselves. And then the people who came over here conquered cities, conquered nations, conquered tribes, conquered whatever, instead of dealing with themselves and fixing themselves, which again, their activity lets you know where they're at. You know what I mean? Trying to conquer outside of self lets you know where these conquerors are at in their mindset, and they haven't even got there yet, if that's how they're looking at it. You know, completely the wrong perspective.
It's like each time you conquer your lower self, it's like a death.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason I feel I've lost my fear to a degree of death, because you kind of, it's like a death and a resurrection.
Yeah.
You know, people go through these dark nights of the soul, and you come out again.
Yeah.
And it's like a renewal, it's
Yeah.
a rebirth. And we do that daily sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, we don't even realize that. That's what
A
happens.
perfect example of the physical show in that is a crab.
Mm.
You ever seen a crab form, like they lose its old self and go to
Yeah,
a new self?
yeah,
It's a crazy. You gotta watch that. It's a crazy process. It makes you think, like, what do we do then? You know?
Yeah, they're doing that here. Yeah, you know, even with snake shedding skin and all that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they be fighting to get that skin off, like, get enough meat.
People who took the COVID shot, you know, they say that they can shed, right?
Yeah. Crazy times. But that's the battle. You know what I mean? The battle is you know, all those wars that you have to fight that are within. You know what I mean? There was a sister I was talking to a couple of days ago, and the same thing with, you know, the relationship stuff, and then men doing madness, then they're staying with them. It's like, well, you know, and then they start going into this thing about why they're staying with them, even though you're getting the worst of the stuff. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? Oh yeah, you don't know yourself like that. Like you're still looking outside yourself for your salvation, even though you're not dealing with religion or whatever like that, but you're still looking outside yourself, trying to find happiness, something to hold on to and all this, when you gotta go with it. Within is the only escape. The
That's
only
why
escape.
people get sick too, is because they wait, like male or female, will wait so long for something that's already being here. Not said this line.
Yeah.
Like you'll be searching for something your whole life, but it's being here already. So like it's like your life is not gonna get any better than the way you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's not anyone in this land or in this time period who hasn't dealt with what you've been through already, that's at an older or that's at a different age. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that's where you just common sense, where it's just like, instead of me looking for a female that has money or a male looking for, or a female looking for a male, vice versa. It's like, why don't I just deal with my own shit right now? Why don't I just sit in my own shit right now and start building up what I need to build,
Yeah. And then that's how, like you were saying earlier, that's how you're gonna attract what it is that you want, by dealing with yourself.
Exactly.
Once you figure yourself out, then nobody else don't gotta come here and start to try to figure you out and all that stuff, wasting their life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You fix yourself, help everyone, do it a favor. Check yourself.
Too, right? The thing that I love about like the coming into knowledge of self is you're not looking to express yourself in a way where you're hiding it under this title, then you're hiding it under this title. Like what it is what it is. You take it for how you know what I mean, how it is. But like,
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Like the hood is a big example of that, because when it comes to the hood, anybody who does else or whatever, like everybody wants to kind of latch onto that person. Everybody wants to do what they're doing. Like, yo, put me on big bro.
exactly.
All that, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I see you shining on here. But it's just like, but I got out mad. Do something. And you're over here,
whatever it is.
on the block, getting drunk and all that. Looking at me like I'm your issue. Like, no, you're your issue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get out there and find a job who you need to.
But they don't look up to you. It's just slang. You know what I mean? They just wanna see as like they wanna see how low in frequency you are, so that you can open up yourself to them. You get what I mean? Like, a lot of people in the hood, like we think that they wanna be do better for themselves, but in their past life, you would see that they were the same person. Like, you know what I mean? They're not gonna change.
Yeah.
That's
like some people are not in the fight to grow, no matter what it is. Like some people will just talk that talk because they see that you're talking it, or they see, oh, this is the new like way that we're talking. So you know, So because like how we talk, it's an energy, and it was past us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, this how we're talking is how they used to talk back in Mobile these days, you know. So that's a fact. All these guys are starting to see, oh, so what? This is the new curriculum. They're trying to jump on it because they don't want to do it your ways, because they don't want to look like they're following you or Cujo. So they want to take little specks and then go over in the corner over there.
With the little specks they got.
All that come back is a temple.
They don't want to though.
All the compact.
They don't want to though. They want to look and then take the little pieces and then make it into what they can make it.
Well, you just turn yourself into a tree.
Well, you'd be there, Martin.
This is one in the chat. Question in the chat. How does a Moroccan flag hanging and wearing a Turkish fez make you a Moor? Just put that out to the Moors out there. The Moors in here, I'm saying.
So how does a Moroccan flag hang in the Turkish?
And a Turkish fez make us Moors?
Well, who said it was Turkish?
That's the first part? Okay.
Where does Turkish come from? Because before Turkana, right? So like, where does the word Turkish come from?
Turkish comes from Turk.
And what about the word Turks and Caicos and
Yeah,
Turk and
yeah,
Caicos?
same Turks.
So you know what I mean?
Same
Well,
Turks.
no, we're just joining. We're just showing them the joint. You know what I mean? We're showing them how we're all joined. You know, all the words are all joined.
Sure.
Turkish, which means like, yeah, it's not really the. You know what I mean? And then after that, you have dark Moors from the who are the Turk. They're still Moors, but they're called the Turk people or whatever. And then after that, you have Turks and Caicos.
Well, you got, as came off for saying, I would say from what I've researched, the best is older than the name Turk.
Yeah.
And the flag is older than the name Turk, right?
Yeah.
So just look at it like that.
Yeah. I was just throwing it out there, but that was a troll. We already know that was a troll. That was a troll trying some stuff in the chat. We just wanted to give him some shine. You saw my question. No, we already know you, troll. We already know you. Islam. So we're looking at look out for an email. We're gonna probably do another walk next week. We're gonna do Pottery Road. I know what Pottery Road is over at Broadview Station area. At the end of Pottery Road is one of the entrances to the park where we went last week, but it's on the south end of the city. So we're going to be walking back to the Science Center. So we're looking at it might be like about an hour and a half walk or something like that from there walking back. So the plan is to meet up at Pottery Road. So if you want, you can take your conveyance, park at the Science Center where we met last week, and then take the transit from there over to Pottery, and then walk down. From there.
So you're just walking straight and not going back.
Yeah. We're just walking straight that way because when we after we parked up, we went to the right. So this we're going to the left, but coming from that side, coming from the south-north.
So that's close to like Broadview Station?
Yeah. Right by Broadview. You probably go to Broadview Station and we walk from there. Or if you go to the station, if you catch the one of those buses, I think it's like 2 stops. It's like 2 stops going north. Any stop, 2 stops going north, or you could just walk it from there or whatever. It's probably a 5-10 minute walk from the station. Also, if anybody has their dues up, you can make your dues in. If nobody got buttons, we have the Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, Justice buttons. Give thanks to Khalifa Media. I think they also put up the Islam buttons, so we're gonna get a couple of those soon. And yeah, that's about it for now. Any closing comments, questions?
Yeah, just remember, it's all within. We're all on the chat asking questions. It's all within.
Stretchers. Stretchers. Peace and love to all the Moors. Islam is closed out. And make sure you enjoy finally the weather is here. So get your best in. Get your best in. It's good times right now. Until Thursday when the storm comes. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe.
Allah, Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice.
Allah
is my protector.
my protector.
My guide.
guide.
My salvation. By night. And by day. His holy prophet. Islam. Moors.
Tomorrow.
See, you got the thing there. Some ancient stuff here. Oh, for real. Check it out. I didn't even really get to I was checking when I go home and I'll take it in, you know? Take it in. Yeah, there's a put those in the stash that in there. I stuck in mine. Okay.
All right. You got everyone bringing pistachios, bro?
Bro, you know how it goes, yo. Gotta eat.
You know what?
Or just put it on the ground there. Islam wars.
You got more of that on the street?